Hey there, welcome to the best damn sports show on YouTube and Streaming.com today. It is TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Let's not waste any time. Let's dive right on in, and we'll let MF get ready to go here as we're going to be starting it off with a twofer when it comes to the Bruins beat here. We got to get into game 2 of the first round series against the Toronto Maple Leafs this past Monday night. And then game 3 of the series as the series shifted to Toronto last night. We're going to get into both of those here tonight. And then after that, we will get into game 2 of the Rangers Roundup of the New York Rangers against the Washington Capitals. And in the main event, it will be the Celtics chat, as last night it was game 2 of the Celtics first round series against the Miami Heat. So not much more to say it. So right now, I'm going to turn the mic over to good old MF Michael Fletcher, the voice of the NHL. And MF, we got quite a bit to get into. We got games 2 and 3 of the Bruins, and then we'll get into game 2 of the Ranger Roundup. So, Doc, it's all yours.
Yes, just give me 1 second, guys. I'm a little bit behind here. It's just I'm trying to get everything all situated here. It just kind of caught us a little bit off guard. All right, I think we got it now. Oh wait, or do we? Let's see. All right, that's game 1. I think Monday was game 2. Yeah, there it goes. All right, so if you guys can hear me, and I hope you guys can, and we're ready to go. All right, so
good.
game 2 of the Eastern Conference first round, the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Boston Bruins. That was at TD Garden, like Anthony Florio alluded to. And Toronto evened up the series, winning the game by the final score of 3-2 in the game. Unbelievable outcome on this one, as it was back and forth as it went. Started off early in the game, in the first period at 10:18, where the Bruins struck first. Morgan Geekie, power play goal. Brad Marchand and Jacob DeBrusk tied the game, gets the assist, and then moments later, the Maple Leafs scores. They tied the game. Max Domi getting a goal, tying it at 1-1, goal at 10:32, assisted by Austin Matthews. Then right before the end of the first period, the Bruins take the lead. David Pastrnak with the goal, with McAvoy and Zelach with the assist that gave the Bruins a 2-1 lead going into the second period. And then right before the end of the second period, John Tavares power play goal, assisted by Austin Matthews and Tyler Bertuzzi. That gave them the tie going into the third. Austin Matthews with a big goal, getting it at 12:06 in the third, and that held up the Bruins down and out after that game, losing it 3-2. Shots on goal was 34-29 advantage. Toronto, they won the face-off battle as well. The power play, the Bruins was 1 for 2 in the power play, 1 for 3 for the Maple Leafs. Almost everything else was almost even. The more hard-hitting team was the Bruins. The block shots were definitely advantage Bruins, but at the end of the day, it was all about Toronto. They actually get the win. 3 stars of the game, David Pastrnak, the number 3 stars. Samsonov, the goalie for Toronto, gets the number 2 star. And the number 1 star was Austin Matthews with a goal and 2 assists. Unbelievable game, unbelievable turn of events, as the Maple Leafs was able to steal one in Boston to even up the series. So Anthony Florio, why don't you give us a quick thought on the game itself, as the Maple Leafs evens up the best of 7 series.
A huge win for the Toronto Maple Leafs indeed, as Max Domi held the puck inside the Toronto defensive zone, waiting for Austin Matthews to make his move. And like a quarterback spotting an open receiver, Domi sent the puck sailing over the neutral zone and hit Matthews in stride. And in one motion, the NHL's goal-scoring leader gloved the puck with his left hand and dropped it in front of his stick, then skated in on Bruins goalie Linus Ullmark and beat him to snap a third period tie. Matthews had a goal and 2 assists, and Domi also scored for Toronto, which snapped an 8-game losing streak against Boston over 534 days, dating back to November of 2022. Ilya Samsonov with 27 saves. John Tavares also scored for Toronto, who have not beaten the Boston Bruins in a playoff series since 1959. And they stole the home ice advantage. Game 3, of course, last night. And, of course, Game 4 will be Saturday night. But that was a much-needed win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They did not want to go back home down 0-2 against this Bruin team that, was looking to get the bad taste of last year out of their mouths. And the star of the game was most definitely Austin Matthews. I mean, if there was ever a time he needed to step up, this was it. I mean, a guy who scored 69 goals in the regular season, goal and 2 assists, also won 16 faceoffs. That is huge, to say the very least. And he also had 6 hits on top of it. So Austin Matthews most certainly worthy of that of that number 1 star of the game honor, no question about it. Ilya Samsonov, 27 saves to get the 2nd star, and he's definitely deserving of that. Made some key saves down the stretch, and other notable stars of the game: Ryan Reeves, who had 7 hits for the Maple Leafs, and Bertuzzi had 4 hits. Kanais had 6 hits. Camp with 3 faceoff wins. Edmondson with 6 hits. And Tavares with 3 hits and 2 takeaways with the goal. Also had 9 faceoff wins. So I think Tavares should have been in that star of the game consideration. As for the Boston Bruins, their star, I'm liking this Geeky kid. I mean, I think this Geeky kid, I like the name Geeky. Yeah. Had 4 face-off wins and had a nice hit there. Had another goal there. Charlie Coyle, 3 hits, 2 takeaways, had 7 face-off wins. Beecher with 4 face-off wins of his own. Carlo with 6 hits and a takeaway. Gritchick had 5 hits, and Maroon with 4 hits. Marchand with 5 hits and 2 takeaways. Ullmark, 31 saves, 34 shots. That's good, but it wasn't good enough, I'm afraid. And that's pretty much all I can say about it. Huge win for Toronto as we headed to Toronto for game number 3. So Michael Bullock, tough night Monday night to see the Bruins losing on home ice 3-2 to the Toronto Maple Leafs as Toronto evened the series at a game apiece. Let's get a quick thought from you, Bullock, about this game 2 loss, and then MF will set the table for game number 3. So, Bullock, are you there? I guess we're going to have to await for Bullock to come back. He probably stepped away or something. So, but all I know, MF, is that was a huge win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They definitely needed that win, and Austin Matthews, as the face of the team, needed to step it up when it mattered most, and he did just that, scoring that big goal.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt about it. A few people were calling out the Matthews out, especially after his play in game 1. A lot of people felt like he really needed it to step up, and at least he in this game he absolutely did. He delivered in spades and everything else. Now we got to wait and see if it was that just a propel? Did that lead him into something bigger? But we'll wait and see. But yeah, he definitely needed to play good, and he did. So hopefully Bullock is back. I don't know if he is or not.
Well, but well, it wasn't just him. I mean, there are other faces on that team. John Tavares. I mean, he definitely needed something there,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Samsonov. I mean, Samsonov needed to make the timely saves, and he just did that. And
I guess
so,
the question I have to ask is, you know how the Bruins have been fluctuating goalies. You know, Swayman did really good in game one. Allmark was fine, not great, but he was fine in game two. But was it enough to turn it around? Should they have stayed with Swayman as goalie because of how he did in game one? Or was it smart
I
for Boston to move to try to flip the goalies around, at this point in the season?
oh they I think they should have kept him. I think they should have kept they should have kept Swayman in there, no question about it. And because he only allowed one goal in game number one, and I thought he played very well in game number one. And I think if they had kept him in, maybe the outcome would have been different. Maybe the Bruins would have been up 2-0 heading to Toronto. But but nonetheless, a big win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, looking to do something that has not been done. They haven't beaten the Boston Bruins in a playoff series since all the way back in 1959. That's a very long time to between playoff series wins. I mean, the Bruins have basically owned this for the last few years, and going back to the 2013 team, the Boston Strong team that came back from 3 goals down in Game 7, which we'll never forget. And first time they're meeting in 5 years, and it was anytime you can steal home ice in a playoff series, I mean, doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the underdog or the favorite, it's a huge deal. And snapping a long losing streak to the Boston Bruins. I mean, you heard what I said. 534 days since the last time they beat the Boston Bruins in an actual game,
Yeah,
in
no,
a
that's
meaningful
huge.
game.
That's huge. That's huge.
November 2022. I mean, they were due. They were due for a big win.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
TD Garden is not an easy place to play, not an easy place to win. But
Mm-mm.
they certainly they stepped it up. They got the big win. Anytime you can get a split in the first two, that's big. It's big. So so now series now shifts to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll have to wait and see how the Bruins did in game number 3 last night, and we are awaiting for we're waiting for Michael Bullock to join us here so we can get his thoughts on all this, and then we can move on to game number 3 and and talk about who gained the upper hand in this series that we know is going to go at the very least 5, but we'll have to wait and see what happens Saturday night in game number 4. So, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting that we had those couple day delays, all of the NBA playoffs. I mean, usually we see these 2 to 3 day gaps in between games in the NBA playoffs, but then again, it's understandable because the other Boston team, they're also in the playoffs, the Celtics,
Mm-hmm.
and between the parquet floor and the ice. I mean, amongst other things. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So Michael Bullock, if you're here, come on in and let's get your thoughts on what happened in game number 2 on Monday night, and then we'll dive into game number 3, and then we'll dive into game number 3, like I said. And well, unfortunately, he's still looks like he's still away. So we are awaiting his, he is here. We're just awaiting. We're just awaiting for him to join us here. So but you know what, MF? Let's just get into go through the motions of game number 3, and we'll catch Bullock up. We'll give him some more time to take care of his business.
All right, so with that, we do go into game 3, which was in Toronto, and this is how the game went. So it started out with a good start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was no scoring in the first period, so it was 0-0. Then Matthew Knives getting the goal, Emerson and Mitch Marner getting the assist at 13-10. That gave the Toronto Maple Leafs a 1-0 lead. Then a very controversial moment in this game. Looked like the Bruins should have gotten called for a tripping penalty. Marchand tripping as he took down Tyler Bertuzzi. However, there was no call. Frederick coming down on the wing, blasts one right by the goalie. Goal for the Bruins, and it tied the game at 1 going into the third. Then, a minute 7 in, power play for the Bruins. Jacob DeBrusk scores, and they take a 2-1 lead. Marchand and Charlie Coyle gets the goal, gets the assist. Then Toronto does get the game-tying goal back, as it was Tyler Bertuzzi, Riley and Domi with the assist at 11:25, and then not even less than maybe 25 seconds later, Brad Marchand, the captain of the team, scores for the Boston Bruins. Hyman with the assist, that gave it 3-2, and then Marchand puts the dagger into the Maple Leafs. The most hated man in Toronto, the biggest pest of the Maple Leafs side, and just like how Tom Wilson is the number 1 villain for the New York Rangers, Brad Marchand is the number 1 villain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he stuck the dagger in them and twisted the knife. Empty net, power play goal, David Pastrnak with the assist, 4-2 Bruins, game over, Bruins win. They take the 2-1 series lead, and the 3 stars of the game was Samsonov with the number 3 star. The number 2 star went to Brad Marchand, and Jeremy Swayman was the number 1 star in the game. Shots on goal, Bruins barely had the lead, 34-30. Toronto was better on the face-off circle. The Bruins 2 for 3 on the power play. That was the key difference in the game. There was a lot of hitting in this one. Toronto 74, Boston 63. Block shots 24-18, advantage Boston. And Anthony Florio, as I toss it back to you, the Bruins, they may have gotten taken down in game 2. But boy, did they respond in game 3. But there was a little bit of some controversy. That Frederick goal, I know Toronto fans were yelling, like absolutely flipping out, saying that Marchand tripped Bertuzzi. That looked like a penalty. I'm not going to lie. That looked like a penalty. But Rev never called it. Rev never called it. Frederick scores. And basically, the Bruins were well on their way to the Game 3 victory.
Brad Marchand broke a tie midway through the third period, and the Boston Bruins defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-2 last night to take a 2-1 lead in the first-round playoff series. After Tyler Bertuzzi tied it for Toronto with 8:35 left, Marchand put the Bruins back in front 28 seconds later. He took a pass from Danton Heinen and ripped a shot past Ilya Samsonov's ear. Marchand capped the scoring with an empty netter and also had an assist. And Marchand said, we stuck with it all game. We elevated to another level. Maple Leafs were livid at Marchand's agitating antics. Sheldon Keefe, the Toronto coach, the gamesmanship and everything is world class. He's been in the league long enough. He gets calls. It's unbelievable, actually, how it goes. We've got to play through that. Marchand got tangled up with Bertuzzi in the second period with Toronto up 1-0. A frothing Scotiabank Arena crowd clamoring for a penalty, which it was, oh, by the way. And the referees took no issues before Trent Frederick scored the tying goal seconds later. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, Jake DeBrusk also scored for Boston. Jeremy Swayman made 28 saves. He made 35 saves in the 5-1 win in Game 1, then gave way to Linus Ullmark in Toronto's 3-2 win in Game 2. Matthew Knies also scored for Toronto. Samsonov with 30 saves. Toronto 0 for 5 on the power play, leaving it 1 out of 11 in the series. Game 4 now, Saturday night, back in Toronto. Must-win game for the Maple Leafs. They do not want to go back to Boston down 3-1. There is no question about that. And you know Michael Bullock's going to be hoping very hard for that to happen. Charlie Coyle, one of my my number one star of the game, in all honesty. I mean, in addition, even though Marchand technically was it in the scoring eyes, Charlie Coyle was my player of the game last night with 7 hits, had 10 face-off wins, and also had an assist last night as well. DeBrusk, great game for him. He also had 7 hits, and he also had a goal. And Zacha with 5 face-off wins. Pasternak with 4 hits, had an assist. Boakvist with 5 hits, and McAvoy 7 hits, and Swayman with another great performance, just like he had in game number 1. He had 28 saves on 30 shots. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares, he was my star of the game for them. 15 face-off wins, along with 5 hits and 2 takeaways. Great stat line. Austin Matthews, despite being held off the score sheet, he had 8 hits, 2 takeaways. He also had 9 face-off wins. Bertuzzi, goal, and 7 hits on the night. Knies with a goal, also had 6 hits. Camp with 4 face-off wins. Benoit with 7 hits. And solid outing for Samsonov, but it just was not enough as the Boston Bruins take the home ice advantage right back and now have a 2-1 series lead going into what I like I said is a must-win Game 4 for the Toronto Maple Leafs at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday night. If the Boston Bruins win that game and go back home up 3-1, it's practically over, and that's how and which would be disappointing because I had this series going 7 games because these two always fight to the death here, and so big win for the Boston Bruins. Now they take the home ice back, and I know they have a goaltender by committee thing, but I think they should stick with Swayman because Swayman's been the better goaltender as of late. So,
Swayman has the hot hand. I agree with that. I would stick with them.
Yeah. So but we'll have to wait and see what Jim Montgomery and crew decide how to game plan it for game number 4 on Saturday night. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. So so with that being said, Michael Bullock, if you're hopefully okay, yeah, there he is. All right. So Michael Bullock, we apologize for for constantly getting on you there, but we were waiting on you. So Bruins took one on the chin Monday night, game number 2, by the Maple Leafs. But last night, boy, your boys bounced back big time. Big win in Toronto, and I'll tell you this, Bullock. If they win this game Saturday night and go back home up 3-1, you guys got it.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, game 2. I mean, that was a tough one. I mean, and some people criticize the decision to put Linus Ullmark in there, but I mean, he is a former Vezina Trophy winner, so yeah, so I don't think you could go wrong. But I do agree. I mean, I think they should have gone with the hothead and Jeremy Swayman, but yeah, I mean, the Bruins. I mean, they had their chances and just weren't able to capitalize in Game 2. But yeah, in Game 3 was a totally different story. I mean, the Bruins, they bounced back in a big way, and now they had the lead in the series again. And like you said, if they win Game 4 on Saturday night, it's basically over. And I do agree it should be Swayman for Game 4. And the thing is, they gotta continue to get contributions from guys like David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand and Jake DeBrusk, what have you. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so they have a chance to take a strong 3-1 lead in the series come Saturday night and have a chance to wrap it up. But we'll wait and see what happens. So, with that being said, I think we get into the Ranger Roundup.
Ranger Roundup, indeed. And as we get into game number 2 of the New York Rangers first round series against the Washington Capitals that took place this past Tuesday night in Madison Square Garden. Vincent Trocheck and Mika Zibanejad each had a goal and an assist, and the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers held on to defeat the Washington Capitals 4-3 Tuesday night for a 2-0 lead in their first round playoff series. Jack Roslovic and Keandre Miller also scored for the Rangers, and Eric Gustafsson and Alexei Lafreniere each had 2 assists. Igor Shesterkin with 22 saves. The New York Rangers, seeking their first Stanley Cup championship in 30 years, have won 4 straight in 12 of their last 15 games, dating back to the end of the regular season. Rangers third on the power play during the season, 2 out of 6 with the man advantage and scored a shorthanded goal. Tom Wilson had a goal and an assist, and Connor McMichael and Dylan Strome also scored for the Caps, who had won 4 of 5 to close the season and take the second wild card in the Eastern Conference. Charlie Lindgren with 23 saves. Game 3, as the series now shifts to Capital One Arena in Washington, is slated for tomorrow night. We'll get into that on Saturday night as we do another round of, the Bruins beat the Ranger Roundup and the Celtics chat on Saturday night. So, because we got a big SmackDown tomorrow night, as it'll be all about the WWE draft, night 1 tomorrow night. So, so not much more for me to get into. So MF, you know how to do it. And, it was a little bit of some tough sledding for Bullock's Bruins, and it was tough sledding for us in game number 2. But somehow, some way, we held on, and 2-0. And now game 3, definitely a must-win for Washington.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was a wild one, and the thing is that first game it was easy. It was dominating. New York played almost flawless hockey. This time around, you had to grind it out. This was a knockdown, drag out, grind out type game. Hold on for your dear life, and yeah, this was exactly what it was. Started out early, where 5 minutes into the game, Connor McMichael, unassisted goal, gave the Capitals a 1-0 lead, and you were thinking, oh, okay, so here they go. They're gonna, maybe the Caps are gonna make a game out of this. Well, then Vincent Trocheck gets the goal. Gustafsson with the assist. That was at 7:56, and then the number 3 ranked power play finally showed up for the New York Rangers. They got a crucial penalty, and they made the Capitals pay. Mika Zibanejad getting the goal. Vincent Trocheck and Alexei Lafreniere with the assist at 14:28 at the end of 1. It was the Rangers up 2-1. Then Dylan Strome getting the goal for the Washington Capitals. That was on the power play. Tom Wilson and Max Pacioretty, we were tied at 2. Then Jason Rosovic getting the goal Gustafson and Alexis Lafreniere. That was a 3-2. And then on the power play for the Washington Capitals, normally we don't see this very often, but when you got the top three penalty kill, that's great for New York. What about a shorty? Short-handed goal, Keandre Miller, Mika Zibanejad, and Chris Kreider with the assist. You're thinking, oh, this is game over. Rangers got this in the bag. They were up 4-2 going into the third, and you're thinking all New York just got to do is just coast the final 20 minutes. We're home free, and we're going to be good. Wrong. Tom Wilson scores. Power play goal for the Washington Capitals. That made it 4-3. And then so that final 9 minutes of the game, it turned into pure chaos. Washington attacking. New York on defense the whole time. Extra skater comes in, and somehow, Igor Shestankin basically does not give up the game-tying goal. The defense knuckles up, and they slam the door on the Capitals and tell them, get the hell out of Madison Square Garden. We'll see your butts in D.C. Rangers win 4-3. 3 stars in the game, Keandre Miller, the number 3 star. Number 2 star, Vincent Trocheck. Number 1, Mika Zibanejad. A goal and an assist. And stats of the game, Rangers outshot the Capitals 28-25. It was pretty close. Here's the reason why the Rangers won the game. Face-off. 59% New York Rangers. You remember, Anthony, for a number of years, the Rangers were not that good on the face-offs. But this year, they've been very good. And this time around, in the first game, they dominated in the face-off circle. And in this game, emphatically, they dominated in the face-off circle. The Rangers were 2 for 6 on the power play. Like I said, number 3 ranked power play unit in all of the NHL. They did not get one in the game 1. They got 2 in game 2. But they did give up 2 on their side as well. Rangers out-hit them 34-20. Block shots were practically even and almost even across the board. Anthony Florio, it is all yours. Rangers win 4-3, and they do indeed have that 2-0 series lead as they now head to Washington for game number 3.
Vincent Trocheck, for me, was the real star of the game last night, with all due respect to Mika Zibanejad. Goal and an assist, had 5 hits, but here's the thing, here's the big difference. 17 face-off wins. That is huge. And that's why. Of course, Zibanejad is also on my list. Goal and an assist. He had 3 takeaways. He also had 3 face-off wins. Barclay Goodrow, he deserves some love. He had 7 face-off wins, 2 hits, and a takeaway. Let's see what else. Rempe, 7 hits for him. Chris Kreider with an assist. He had a couple of hits there. And of course, Jacob Trouba, the captain, with 4 hits. Keandre Miller with the game-winning goal, also had 2 takeaways. Gustafson with 2 assists and 2 hits in the game. And Roslovic with a big goal for the Rangers. Lafreniere, 2 assists on the night. I'm kind of hoping to see a little bit more from, our big guns. I mean, yes, Zibanejad scored. I'm hoping to see some more from Panarin and Kreider. Kreider did have an assist, but I kind of want to see Panarin get back on the score sheet there. Igor, for the first time in, I believe, 10 he had a streak of 10 straight home playoff games where he allowed 2 goals or less. And he was approaching the record that is held by the Hall of Famer Martin Brodeur. I believe he has 15 straight home playoff games with allowing 2 goals or less. Unfortunately, that streak is broken, but it doesn't matter because, Rangers are up 2-0, and As far as the Washington Capitals go, Strome, I thought Strome was the star player for the Washington Capitals, had a goal. He won 7 faceoffs. Ovechkin, 6 hits for him and held off the score sheet. Tom Wilson with 4 hits, had a goal and an assist. McMichael with a goal. He had 5 faceoff wins. LaPierre with 2 takeaways and 4 faceoff wins. And Dowd with 4 faceoff wins. And the Capitals did fairly well on the faceoffs there. And Verhaeghe with 5 hits. But in the end, it was not enough as the New York Rangers held on for a 4-3 win and now lead the series 2-0, with the series now heading to Washington. Game number 3 tomorrow night. Like I said, we'll get into that on Saturday night. But for right now, MF and I will take it. We're up 2-0, and hopefully they can keep the momentum going into tomorrow night. So, Michael Bullock, if you have a quick thought, feel free, and then we'll get into the Celtics chat.
Yeah, like you said, it was a nice win for the New York Rangers. They definitely really needed it, and now they carry some momentum going into the next game. So hopefully for you guys, that momentum continues for the Rangers, but you never know. We'll wait and see. But now let's get into the Celtics chat.
Well, Bullock, I know this one's going to be hard for you, but it is what it is. But they can't win. They can't go undefeated in a whole postseason. I mean, the 2001 LA Lakers almost did, but the Miami Heat beat Boston with an unprecedented barrage of 3-pointers last night to erase the home court advantage the Celtics worked all season to establish. Tyler Hero, 24 points and 14 assists, hitting 6 of Miami's 23 3-pointers, the most in a playoff game in franchise history, to lead the Heat to a 111-101 victory over top-seeded Boston and even the first-round playoff series at 1 game apiece. Bam Adebayo, 21 points and 10 rebounds. And new Celtics nemesis Caleb Martin also had 21 for Miami, who shot 53.5% from beyond the arc, 23 out of 43 to bounce back after a blowout loss in Game 1. That broke Miami's playoff record of 23-pointers set against the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round in 2021. For the victorious Miami Heat, it was Tyler Hero with the 24. And Adebayo had 21. Caleb Martin, like I said, also had 21. Adebayo had 21 along with 10 rebounds, by the way. Jaquez with 14. Jovic with 11 points and 9 rebounds. Also had 6 assists, 3 steals. And Highsmith off the bench with 9. And for the Celtics, it was Jaylen Brown who had 33 points and 8 rebounds to lead the Celtics. Jason Tatum, 28 points, 8 rebounds of his own. And Holiday only had 9. Porzingis with 6, along with 8 rebounds. Hardly any production from the bench. Hauser and Horford only had 6 each. Horford had 6 points with 8 rebounds. But unfortunately, it was not enough for the Boston Celtics there. As we look at the numbers here, the Miami Heat shot 49.3% from the field. Celtics 46.3%. The 3-point shooting, the big difference. Miami 23 out of 43 for a percentage of 53.5%. Celtics, unfortunately, only 37.5% from 3, 12 out of 32. Miami was 14 of 18 from the free throw line, 77.8%. Celtics 15 of 21 from the free throw line, 71.4%. Miami had the rebounding edge overall. Offensive rebounds, 6-4 for Boston. Defensive rebounds, 36-33 for Miami. Overall, 40-39 for Miami. In the assists, Miami had 25 assists, Boston 21. Both teams had 9 steals each. The block shots, all Boston. 8 block shots. Miami only had 1. Celtics committed 13 turnovers. Miami committed 14 turnovers. Boston, 20 points off turnovers. Miami, 9. Fast break points, 15-7 in favor of Boston. Points in the paint, 46-26 in favor of Boston. Celtics committed 17 fouls. Heat committed 22 fouls. No technical fouls, no flagrant fouls. Boston's largest lead was 6. Miami's largest lead was 12. And Miami evens it up at a game apiece. Game 3, Saturday night, 6 p.m. on TNT, as the series now shifts to Miami. So, Michael Bullock, I got to put you on the spot here. After this game last night, is there cause for concern for Boston?
I think so. I mean, what did I tell you guys going into the series? Because Miami always seems to give the Celtics fits, especially in the playoffs. Yes, they don't have Jimmy Butler, but you have some other guys who are contributing, and Tyler Hero, who they did not have in that run to the finals last year, and they have him, and and after what the Celtics did in Game 1 when they contributed with the 3 ball, Miami was like, yeah, you want us to you guys want to make all these threes? Well, guess what? So can we, and that's exactly what they did. And yeah, Porzingis didn't have a good game. Holiday didn't have a good game. The bench was just an absolute no-show. The bench needs to be a lot better. And I was worried about this game because going into last night, because what happened at the end of game 1, the Heat played better in that fourth quarter, and I was worried that this was going to carry into this game, and unfortunately, that's exactly what happened here. So yeah, the Celtics need to play a lot better, because if Miami gets comfortable with this, I don't know. I would really start to be concerned. I still think they'll win the series, but they gotta play a lot better in every aspect of the game. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
MF, do you have a comment? Celtics.
Yeah, are you concerned, MF?
I'm not really concerned, but the thing is that if you're the Boston Celtics, you got to run the Miami Heat off the 3-point line, because that was one of the biggest problems I saw, is that Miami absolutely just, I always complain about the Boston Celtics that they live by the 3 and they die by the 3. Miami is not that well known for the 3-point shot, but when you drop 59% from 3-point range, when you're knocking threes down like that in a 50, I think it was like a 55 or 60% clip last night, that is scary. That is like, where were the defense on that? Why were these guys getting so wide open in this type of situation? And then the other thing is, Porzingis didn't really play great. Yes, Tatum played good for 3 quarters, but he disappeared in the fourth quarter. In the most important part of the game, when really the Celtics needed Tatum, he went MIA. He was missing. And you cannot do that. Superstars and big plays, big moments, this is where the stars need to shine. Jaylen Brown needed to step up. Jason Tatum needed to step up. Kristaps Porzingis needed to step up. And none of them did. And if you're Boston, that's a cause for pause. That would be the moment where you kind of have to, I'm not going to say you get nervous, but you kind of are feeling like, what the heck? You got to play better than that. So, yes, Miami is kind of feeling themselves right now. That was a big win for them. Now they feel like the momentum is shifted. Now you got to have to feel like, all right, you let that one get away. We're going to play. You got to play better and everything else. Boston just has to chase Miami off that three-point line. You cannot let them start shooting that three-pointers, and if they do force them, you got to put a body or a hand on them, force them to miss those shots, because they weren't hitting them in game one, and we saw Boston blew them out. They got to play that same intensity that they did in game one, and I think Boston will be just fine. But yeah, when you steal home court advantage and win a game at TD Garden like that, that is definitely a momentum shifter. And even Jimmy Butler kind of thumbed it in Boston Celtics fans on a Twitter post last night saying, "Don't give us one," and they got one. So it seems like Butler feels like the momentum is shifted in that now it's definitely in Miami's advantage. Maybe that might be a little bit too soon to start barking up the tree there, Jimmy. That's all I'm just saying, because you know how that goes. That's bulletin board material. You know Tatum saw that. You know Jaylen Brown saw that. You know Porzingis saw that. You know all the boys saw that. So I'm wondering how this is going to play going into game 3. Now, how does how does Boston respond? Do they come out with that fire, that intensity? Because if they come out flat like they did, maybe Miami wins again. Who knows? But if they come out like they did in that first game where they jumped out 14-0, I like Boston's chances in game 3. So it's very pivotal to see how do they respond? How do they jump at the beginning? And then we go from there. So nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, it is all yours. Let's call it a night.
All right, and that will put the bow on this special edition of TXN Sports World. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. MF, tomorrow night, set the table.
Yes, tomorrow night. I was originally going to say 10 o'clock. Unfortunately, I'm pushing it back a half an hour, y'all. 10:30. It is indeed the WWE Draft Night 1, as it will be on SmackDown Live. We'll run through all the picks, all the action that went down on that show, and we will have it for you 10:30 on Braves Fan 95. So be there or be square. Hugs and hand pounds. I'm out. Anthony Florio, take it home.
All right, so you heard it. 10:30 tomorrow night. Special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Friday Night SmackDown, the WWE Draft. It's here. 2024. We'll get into all the picks as well as all the other matches and segments announced. Of course, also Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, contract signing for their WWE Championship match at Backlash in France next weekend. We'll get into that and a whole lot more tomorrow night. Saturday night, probably at the same time, another installment of TXN Sports World where we'll have the Bruins beat, the Rangers Roundup, and the Celtics chat. We'll be starting it off with the Ranger Roundup because Game 3 for the Rangers is tomorrow night. And then on top of that, and then after that, it'll be the Celtics chat. Celtics and Heat slated for a 6 o'clock tip-off on Saturday night in Game 3. And then I believe it's 8 o'clock, Game 4 for the Boston Bruins against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we'll get into all of that around 10:30 or so on Saturday night. And then Monday night, we do it all again with Ridiculously Raw. And, we'll take it from there. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for that big Cerebral Smack Talk show, Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for our WWE Draft Night 1 recap edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Bruins beat, Rangers Roundup, and Celtics chat as part of TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And for everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long and bye, everybody. Bye.